And welcome yet again to another episode of Dinner Guide. Today we'll be making a very, very beautiful Moroccan dish. We're going to be making a beef kofta, but we're going to infuse it our own way. We're going to be serving that with some Greek yogurt with some mint, and we're just going to literally turn this beautiful dish into something you all will love to have on these summer evenings. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to what we'll be working with today. So I've got some parsley, I've got a nice piece of lemon there, some salt and pepper for seasoning. I've got some ginger, garlic, cumin powder. I've got some red pepper powder. I've got some fennel seeds and some cinnamon sticks. I've also got some whole eggs here, some nice beautiful lettuce, some beautiful Linz beef mince there, and some chopped red onion. So without further ado, we're gonna jump into a short break. I'll give you this chance to grab your pens and papers, and when we come back, we're just gonna go straight into cooking. See you in a little bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those who just missed the introduction of today's show, we are going to be making a very, very beautiful dish. We're going to be traveling all the way to the streets of Morocco, and we're going to be making a beautiful dish, but we're going to turn it and do it our own style. So without further ado, I'll just take you through the process as I introduce the ingredients as we go. So I'll be working with this beautiful bowl. I recommend you use a wooden spoon. And first off in there is some lean beef mince. And then I'm also going to add about 3/4 cup of onions, just chopped red onions. And I'll be adding also about 3/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon black pepper. I'll also be adding some cumin powder, some red pepper powder, and then just to finish that off, I've got a pestle and mortar here, and in it I'll be throwing in some of my cinnamon and some of my fennel seeds. I'll also add a bit of that beautiful garlic, and we are also going to add a bit of fresh ginger. So this is just a peeled knob of ginger. So I'm just going to roughly chop that. And now all we're going to do first of all is just work on our spice mix here. So this is just going to go into a hot pan quickly. We're gonna saute it, and this will come back straight into our mixture. So I add a bit of salt in here to give it a bit of a grip. It allows it to actually break down a little better. I always recommend when you're working with a pestle and mortar, try to keep it as dry as possible before you try and break your spices up, because if it's moist, you'll have a very, very thick paste which you might not be able to use. So I'm just going to finish that off. And that goes into our hot pan. To that I'll also add just a little drizzle of olive oil. We'll give that a few seconds to saute. And then we are going to add our bacon in there. So while that cooks, I'm just going to start by giving this a quick mixture. So as I mentioned earlier, very, very beautiful dish. You can serve this summer holidays or even your summer dinner sessions. A very, very light dish that also can be served with anything in relation to, you could serve this with rice, you could do it with a bit of potatoes, you could do it with even fries or potato wedges. But considering we're in the summer season and it's really hot, I'm going to be serving it in a more fresher way. We're going to be serving it as a light dish. So we're going to be serving that with a nice simple salad on the side and some Greek and mint yogurt just to refresh. All right, that's just about mixed well. So to the pan, I'm going to add my chopped up bacon. So I'm using back bacon. So this I just chopped up, and we're just going to saute that in a pan. The reason for this is we're trying to really get those flavors in there, because this is going to be the base of the whole flavor for the whole dish. So I always recommend, always start by sauteing your spices a little bit. It actually allows the spices to breathe. Let's give that a quick saute. Right, so to that I will not add any seasoning. There's already seasoning in our big bowl. Right, to that I will add just 1 egg, and I'm going to split this. Prefer using my hands, it's always a little easier. So I'm just going to use 1 egg yolk. We're just going to check on our dry spice mix here. So you want to cook this not too long. You don't want the bacon to crispen. You really just want to have a general flavor of cumin and everything. Gonna give that a nice quick mix there. So this is a dish you can be able to make to order. If you do have an extra 2 or 3 hours before dinner time, this is a very beautiful dish to start just before time. Remember, you're not serving it with any starches. All you need to do is have your ingredients ready, and in less than 20 minutes you can be able to produce the same dish we're making on TV today. Just going to give that a nice saute. Right, so this is done. All I'm going to do is add that into our bowl. So I'm not going to allow this to cool off, because I really want the infusion to happen really quick while the spices are still nice and warm. Right, so we just give that another quick mix. And now, just before we continue, I'm just going to have a nice beautiful pan going here. I'm working with a nice big pan. Remember, we are going to be frying this and not oven roasting them. Alternatives to making kofta, you can actually put them on a tray and bake them in the oven, but for this particular recipe, it's easy. It's actually a little easier to make it to order, so we're just going to do them on a hot pan. So it's as simple as that. Now, last but not least, I'm going to roughly chop a bit of my parsley. This is just to really bring the flavors together, and it actually also accentuates the color a little bit. So I'm just going to add that. So that's just roughly chopped fresh parsley. Now all I'm going to do is make sure that's nicely mixed through. I recommend when you're mixing, always try and continue giving your bowl a turn. Always try and mix in the same direction just for consistency. Right, and now this is about ready. So I prefer doing this by hand, so I'm going to show you how to be able to do this really easy. And we'll just first start off by getting some oil on our pan. So it's about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Always swirl your pan. Make sure to have a nice even coating of oil all around before you put anything in your pan. Right, so while that heats up, we're just going to start by combining our mixture, and we're going to be portioning this into golf-sized balls, and then we're just going to pat them on the top, and we're going to grill them on each side for about 2 to 3 minutes. So very, very simple technique. I'm just going to give those a nice press there. Always make sure to give it a bit of a press just to make sure you don't have any air pockets in there that might cause your koftas to break up when they hit the pan. Right, so simple as that. And those go straight into our pan. I'm just going to do the same with the rest. As I mentioned, always try to go with sizes in relation to a golf ball. The reason for this is it gives you a nice thickness and it allows you to cook the patties a little quicker in a span of 2 to 3 minutes on each side. But if you are going to be making them bigger, always try and cook it a little longer or finish it off in the oven just to make sure it's actually cooked through to the inside. Right, so I'm going to add one more and we're just going to allow this to continue cooking. So very, very simple technique. If you do feel that you don't want to add any egg to this recipe, you can alternatively use a bit of flour and a bit of water. It will still give you the same the same binding effect. You can actually also use breadcrumbs. It will really do the trick. Right. So those are nicely sizzling on the pan. So we're just going to take a short commercial break. We're going to clean up the station, and when we come back, I'll be able to show you what this turned out like, and we're just going to go into the making of the sauce and the plating of the dish. Don't touch that dial. See you in a short bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those who are just tuning in, if you missed out on the beginning of what we were doing today, we are making some very, very simple beef koftas. What we were doing before we took a break, we did some of the kofta and we actually put them on the pan and they're just about to come out. And I'm just now going to take you into the finishing stage of this. So remember, this have been cooking on each side for about 3 minutes. We're just going to check, make sure they're all okay. Right, so these are nice and ready. So I'm just going to take those, leave those on the pan, but I'll leave the heat off and we'll take them out in a little bit. In the meantime, I just want to show you how we are going to plate the dish, and I'm also going to give you an insight on the sauce that we're using for the koftas. So in this beautiful bowl, I have a mixture of plain yogurt. I've got some hard-boiled egg that has been grated. I've got some chopped meat, some chopped parsley, and I just added salt and pepper and a touch of vinegar. So this is a very good accompaniment, a very, very original accompaniment to this dish. So we're just going to serve it as is. And then now for the salad, I prefer to go with a nice green salad. So all I'm going to do is break my leaves into this bowl in front of me. So we're just going to take a few of these. Now, a lot of times you may want to have your salad just plain, but as much as you'd want to do that, it might not have any taste to it. So I'm going to show you a very simple technique of seasoning your salad. So just a dash of olive oil, and here I've got some black pepper. So just a nice generous grating of that, and last but not least, I have a nice beautiful piece of lemon. So that's about a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. And all we are going to do with that is give it a quick mix with a pair of tongs. So remember, this is a more subtle way of having your lettuce, especially if you're not thinking of building it into a complete salad. This is actually a very nice way to have it. It's a more refreshing. As I said, we are getting into the summer season of the year. It's actually going to be quite hot. So a lot of you are going to be thinking of options to have, but something that's totally different from the norm. So you're looking for a comfort food that's a little easier to digest, a little easier to make, and also budget friendly. So this is a very beautiful option to do that. Right, so just to finish this off, we're going to just start plating it. And all I'm going to do is just grab some of my lettuce there. All I'm going to do is arrange these on the plate. so. So as we always say on the show, please don't feel obligated to repeat everything we are making as is. You are allowed to come up with your own ideas, and I always insist the best person to learn how to cook is one who manages to see how it's done and then goes back and tries their own way. Right. So we're just going to start moving our beautiful koftas onto the plate. Just going to give that plate a turn. And all I'm going to do is arrange this on the plate, as you can see. So this is a very good share portion that will go at least with 3 or 4 guests if you're having this as a starter on its own. But if you're planning to be serving this for one person, I always recommend 2 to 3 pieces is a nutritional recommended size. I always serve it with my sauce on the side, but you are not obligated to actually mix a sauce. Some actually love to mix a sauce with the salad. Some just like to drizzle it over the kebabs, but I like to serve it as is. So from this end, it's been a pleasure being with you today. You have been tuned into Dinner Guide and you're watching BrandPlus TV. I have been your host, Chef Andy, and it has been a pleasure joining you today. So from the studios and from myself, I bid you a lovely evening. See you soon.